Hello everyone and welcome to the Stage 1 Week 1 game between the DC Dons and the San Francisco Shook here at the Overwatch Community Cup Season 1. We are looking to go to Kings Row for the beginning map. And before we go in there, I want to show you something. Now we've got the DC Dons with some BM off the bat. We've got DC Dons all with San Francisco icons. And we've got the Shook somehow throwing people for a loop with the NYXL. We'll see if that has any effect on the gameplay as the game comes up. We will be getting started soon enough. Kyle DD will be leading his forces of the DC Dons, with Xanatos, Impulse Killa, Make Me Famous, Endorphins, and Mag. Right behind him, San Francisco Shook is fielding Shadow Roxas, Kawaii Street, The Alto Sax, Catatonic, Spooky Soup, and Akane in their starting lineup. There are no subs in the lobby, which means that these may be the rosters for the entire set. This should help to have some solid synergy if that's what they've been running and practicing in scrims the whole time. So hopefully they'll have the experience having played enough with each other to get some really good and close games in this set. The DC Dons have a long day ahead of them though. Today is their Week 1 game and their Week 2 game later at 8 o'clock on this stream. So we'll see if they can make it in the long haul. Hopefully they don't get too tired in this first set. Kings Row is coming right up, and this is one of my favorite maps. I love triple tank compositions. I love being the Reinhardt. I love being the Moira.
Now
I can't wait to see some tank clobbering action on point A of Kings Row. There we're going to fly into London. Right up with the Omnic statue. Something I've always wondered is they've got a bus here, right? But I played Reinhardt a lot. And I don't think he fits. This is a subway for ants. But hey, the Autumn Collection. Coming to you soon, in give or take 60 years. They've got a sign for rotating traffic, but with tanks using this as a defensive post, they're probably breaking a few traffic laws. The rollout of the DC Dons is coming out. They're running a bulky triple tank with a Junkrat defense. I love it. They've got the Moira and Lucio to keep everyone healed up and moving, and Junkrat for the damage, as they might be expecting tanks on the enemy team as well. The idea of triple tank is to just live as long as you can, and hopefully longer than the enemy team, and it looks like they have a roster looking to do just that. San Francisco Shook is getting their attack ready. Not quite sure if these are the characters they're going to be playing, but look at this strat. They might be using a Maywall to get everyone up here, which is maybe not very useful, but it's very cool. I'm hoping we'll see a charge right out the gate. Nothing of the sort, but a neat trick nonetheless. They're going to be running Death Ball. Pharah with no direct healing, so Akane has to be very careful. Spooky Soup does as well, as they're actually they're running Brigitte as well. Brigitte will be very interesting. She's good with Death Ball, but Pharah and Genji are not Death Ball characters. Here comes the attack. They have the high ground, but they don't really have the characters to utilize the high ground like a soldier. The brawl is coming to the point, though. Mag does miss his charge, but he's kept alive by the Zarya bubble. And he's just swinging around his hammer. If only it healed like Brigitte's, but he is going to get a kill onto the Alto Sax. He's just swinging away. His team's keeping him alive and healthy. Never went under 400 health. And the chase is on. And, oh, A BM Shatter at that. Didn't need to use it, but use it just to finish off Shadow Roxas. The fact that he got that already while Kawaii Street is only at 50%, that is such a power move. Alto Sax is looking to get her ultimate up, and so is Akane and Spooky Soup. They could use these DPS ultimates for good. The problem with the Genji's ultimate, though, is that he's going to be using it into a bunch of tanks, which isn't very effective. He could get the healers and Junkrat, but speaking of Junkrat, here's a tire. And goodbye, Alto Sax. Impulse Killa uses that Coalescence as well. And just a couple ults, that is a complete sweep of a cleanup. Mag's out for it again. Doesn't have an Earth Shatter to use. Unfortunate indeed, and we are seeing a switch up of characters from the Shook. They're still running Brigitte, as she has 90% ult, and that armor can be so useful in or before a fight. Both DPS ults are up, and they do have dive characters, which I think definitely suits their DPS better. Winston does get hooked though, but the armor is out, and Akane found Kyle. No mercy to res him on the side of the Dons. Hammer comes out, knocks out a bunch of people, but no one's there to contest Akane. Gets only one though, but everyone's low. Well, everyone was low, but Impulse Kill is doing such a good job of healing. And Akane is not getting these direct hits on the healers. Coalescence is out to keep everyone even healthier. And while Akane is uncontested, nothing seems to be happening. Quiet Street is out, but we do have Alto Sax with the Valk flying around trying to keep everyone healthy, but this war of attrition is not in favor of the Shook. Another rally is out, more armor. And finally, there's some picks on the board for the Shook. Spooky Soup on the Reaper. Recent change, but already has ult. Oh, but Alto Sax takes double take, realizes you're not my Roadhog. Ends up getting hooked, but does survive. Colossus comes out, but it's going to get blocked off by a Diva Bomb. And now it's just Make Me Famous and Mag going to contest. Barriers are going to make that a little easier, and an Earth Shatter is ready. The bubble's down, and this could be it. It's huge. Not as huge as it could have been, though, but a Graviton. DC Dons are going to hold this tooth and nail, and they are going to hold. Only 30 seconds left. A tick acquired, only 2 left, but the Shook need to put everything in this last fight. It was looking so good for them, but DC Dons, they didn't want to lose that fight at all. Used their ultimates very wisely. And now it's all on Akane to try and clear this point. Shadow Roxas goes down, but Mag's super low, does go down. Xanatos gets a hook onto Akane though. And he's gonna push everyone off. Mercy flies in maybe to get a res, but it doesn't matter. 1 tick is all Shook could get.
Score 0-0. Switching sides.
As we switch the sides, only 44 or 43.1% is needed for the Dons. I imagine they'll be running their bulky offense as well, as they just need to outlast the Shook on this point. They don't have to worry about the payload phase. They don't have to worry about the 3rd point, the hardest one to get in the game, or at least on this map. All they have to focus on is 4 minutes for point A. It looks like the defense from the Shook is going to be another Deathball comp featuring a Tracer and Junkrat. This definitely is a safer composition, and it makes more sense than what they ran before. They seem to have a mixed composition with the dive offense and Deathball tanks. That didn't seem to work out. I do like playing Brigitte, as she is very good in a lot of situations, but she's not good with dive offense. It's very hard to heal them, as she has to be in the fight in order to do so.
Attackers incoming.
We're going to see quad tanks coming out from the Dons, looking to make a quick game of this. Let's see if there's anything that can be done by the Shook to hold off this attack. I think Catatonic with those right-click stuns could do a lot, especially with Spooky Soup with the heavy hitting damage.
5,
And if Akane is able to get any pulse bombs, that could be huge.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective
Depends on
A.
how bulky this attack will be. They're going to be moving through the hotel, going to try and get flankers, or trying to flank onto the healers. And they're already on the point. Mag finds Spooky Soup, that's the first pick. Catatonic goes down as well. This isn't looking good for the Shook already. That's 3, only 3 left on the point. Rez tries to come out from Alto Sax, but gets taken down by Kyle. Now there's only 2, 1 left. Akane does what he can, but this point is as good as the Dawns. They made the Shook an offer they couldn't refuse, and got that point.
Play of the game.
Impulse Skull does get play of the game, and not even for damage or coalesce kills, it's just for raw healing. Look at how much he put into Mag to keep him alive, allowing him to win the fights, keep swinging his hammer. Only card coming in from the Shook was a card specific to their Brigitte. But more healing and damage and kills on the side of the Dawns. As we go into Game 2, whatever map they may be, let's talk about what went wrong for the Shook. Obviously, the New York Icons. If you're not going to play Shook Icons, then like... But in any case, they needed to, in my opinion, go with some more cookie-cutter compositions. They were going with compositions that didn't really have synergy. They had DPS like Pharah and Genji that would go up into the sky or around the back, but they wouldn't have any healing, because Moira can't really go out and heal those people, and can't heal them from far away. And Brigitte, she has 1 6-second cooldown spot heal, which is very good, does 150 and adds armor, but that's all you're going to get every 6 seconds, unless she can get into that fight. But that's not what Brigitte can do, as well as flankers, or say Pharah. It's probably incredibly hard to heal a Pharah in any circumstance as Brigitte. So it's definitely a losing battle. I think they should have switched to other healers. I think they should have gone with more standard healers. If they're running a Pharah, they probably should have been running a Mercy. I like the Moira. I think that could have worked. But it also came down to what kind of tanks they were playing with their offense. They started with Death Ball. And again, Genji and Pharah, they can go around and do whatever they want, but Reinhardt and Zarya don't have that movement abilities. They don't have the verticality. There's nothing to combo with that. I mean, Reinhardt, I suppose, could dive if you hit shifts hard enough, but that puts him in a very precarious situation that just causes more harm than good. I think they just need to figure out if they want to run Death Ball, run the classic Death Ball. I think the composition they ran on defense was a very good idea. I think that's a very safe defense, because if you run triple tank, you have the problem of maybe a Reaper's coming. If you have anti-dive, maybe just a bunch of tanks running through a resistance barrier. I think standard Death Ball with like a Junkrat Tracer was a very solid idea. That could have worked, but I think they were not prepared for the aggression and lasting power of the quad tanks. One thing I want to see is, since they fought against triple tank on offense, they might want to, in the future, and perhaps in that game, have had a Reaper or some kind of heavier damage instead of the Tracer, because while she can blink around and get damage, I think lasting on the point was more important when there was only a tick to be given up. DC Dons played very well. We only saw triple and quad tanks, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare on other compositions on other maps. There's not a lot I can say for that team in particular at the moment. But as it is right now, they're looking very good to take this set, as they are up 1-0 against the Shook. We're going to be selecting the next map in a few minutes. So I will keep you posted, and I will be right back.
Traveling to Hanamura.
And we've traveled over to the beautiful land of Hanamura, the flower village, as it so translates. Have the beautiful cherry blossoms. Definitely a romantic avenue if you ever have any spare time in your Overwatch travels. We'll see what kind of compositions are run on this map. Triple tank is possible, as well as quad tank, but it's not as orthodox. This is definitely a dive-oriented map, at least traditionally, as there's some high spots to jump down and try and get the defense. Deathball is also an option, as there's a lot of charge Zarya can gain at this gate. Shadow Roxas is giving us the Muma treatment. Maybe one day we'll see a Symmetra. We do see, perhaps in expectation of a dive offense, DC Dons has already selected anti-dive. With Xanatos and Mag with the pull-to-port combination, they're going to try and make quick work of any flankers. Looks like Kyle DD put a trap at the spawn door of the Shook, but didn't put a mine there. Okay, he put a trap a little closer. But there's no mine there, so it will rely on that tree not being in the way of his grenades.
One. Attackers incoming.
Thank you.
Soldier is up on the high ground, not over on the bodega where his team can't get to him. It's a very good position. And Impulse Killa make me famous on the Zenyatta and Mercy. Akane goes down already. As San Francisco Shook have to try and figure out another way around this. Looks like they'll be sticking to dive for a little bit longer, but they need to figure out a better way to get through this gate. Kwai Street, not quite healed up, interestingly enough. Now Shook is just gonna go in. Spooky Soup gets a reflect, doesn't get any damage, but he goes in, and the dive is in onto Impulse Killa. He is already low. Spooky Soup does get him, but Catatonic, Alto Sax, and Shadow Roxas are all down. Oh, but a late stagger onto the Mercy in the middle of res. That's gonna be no healers on the side of the DC Dons, aside from Roadhog, who I would imagine probably has gold healing. Probably not, but it's possible. If the Shook can get in there quick before the healers arrive, this could be a fight heavily in their favor, especially if they go through the right and get the healers as they come in, or jump to the point and force the counter dive to go to them. That looks like it is the case, as Endorphins is already down. He gets jumped on by Monkey. And there's the Discord on Xanatos. This is what I like to see, Akane and Catatonic working together. Tracer goes after whoever's discorded, but here's a tire. It gets both of them! There will be no Discord, there will be no follow-up, and a whole hog to get the rest. Spooky Soup uses a very late Dragon Blade, realizes what he's done, and embraces spawn.
For your safety, please move behind the barrier.
A couple more ultimates still on the side of the DC Dons, and a few coming up on the side of the Shook. It all comes down to how well they use them and in what sequence. As the new dive comes in. Shadow Roxas gets picked though, but the Shook are deciding that they're gonna commit. With both tanks down, or at least the mech, this probably isn't the best idea to use the barriers. But Akane's here, unpunished, gonna try and get a flank. Low health, but he picks up a health back and is gonna be in the back. But the hunt is on, and Impulse Killa deletes Akane. That's going to be 10 more seconds that the San Francisco Shook have to wait. But a lot of it is going to come down to Akane and his Pulse Bomb. But they do have to wait for a tire. As Kyle's just not even using it for kills at the moment, just using it for zoning. And that's all it's going to be used for. But that's valuable time eating down, as there's only a minute left in the time bank. Interesting that Akane has not gone over the high ground yet, either on the left or the mid, as that's much safer than trying to go the main route with the Junkrat and the Roadhog and the Orisa spam. Another hook onto Shadow Roxas, that can't happen, and then another support ult used late. A res does come onto Spooky Soup, but this is some poor ult usage. Impulse Killa uses his trance. This is going to be their best chance for Shook to push in with that ultimate down. Xanatos gets another hook, though. He seems unstoppable behind this Orisa barrier. Shadow Roxas jumps over, misses a little bit, but he's just going to ult, probably just to get to the point, as there's only 15 seconds left. He's going to get chased by the Zenyatta, though. A fight he should typically win, but Impulse Kill has been looking pretty scary. Kyle got Altos X with a tire off screen. And is there anyone who can get to the point? Impulse Killa gets another kill. Might as well call him Jonak. And 0% progress.
0 to 0. Switching sides.
Only 33% necessary for the Dons this attack. We'll see how the Shook adapt and try to hold on to it. Meanwhile, we'll be in the arcade trying to get Pachimaris. But what I was saying earlier about the Shook and their flankers is that both Genji and Tracer have the ability, as well as Winston and D.Va. When anti-dive is such an issue here, when Roadhog, Orisa, Junkrat are all spamming up here, it's an incredibly valid option for the flankers and tanks to just go through here. Even Mercy can go. And if they just go around this way, or at least go to the high ground, or go all the way around to the point, that would be so much easier than trying to force a square comp through a circle choke point. The DC Dons is going to run triple tank again with Endorphins on the Widow. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can try and contest Endorphins, as she will most likely be in that little hut that's so hard to get to when you're defending. As who's really going to come up here? And who's going to contest? Hopefully not Catatonic. The Shook is holding an interesting high ground defense. They don't want to lose at the choke and just lose the point entirely, so they're going to give themselves a little bit of breathing room by holding up here with the Junkrat, their own Orisa Hog. I like this strategy.
3, 2, 1.
This is a lot of damage. They're hoping to just force the Dons away. Endorphins, though, has a nice angle. Altozax goes down. She was behind the barrier. And another headshot onto Spooky Soup. Another onto Kawaii Street. And this is just good as done. The only kill that Endorphins didn't finish off was Catatonic and Akane. And yes, we see you, Endorphins. Another roll in the favor of the Dons.
Play of the game.
Kyle is going to run away and play the game, though if it were up to me, it would be Endorphins with the triple kill. This was very good, though. The Tracer and the Zenyatta were causing trouble, but Kyle was able to take care of it. And again, only one card on for the Shook. It's a hard life to being a member of San Fran right about now. So let's see what happened there. I do want to mention the brilliance of the triple tank attack that DC Dons did against Shook. The tanks weren't the key component. The key component of that attack was Widowmaker. The tanks were there to barge in and make space for Endorphins, as if there's no one to contest the Widowmaker, if they're all brawling with the tanks, Endorphins can just get shot after shot after shot. And that Mercy shot, when Mercy was just outside of the barrier, was so clean and led to such a sweep that it was just beautiful to watch. The Shook looks like they're going to substitute out a player. And let's just try to think about what went wrong. They had a decent composition, but obviously the Mercy, and not that the Mercy really did anything wrong, aside from just standing in the wrong place. Positioning is incredibly important in Overwatch, and if there's a sightline for a Widow, and you're not standing right behind the barrier, that's just your life. On attack, though, it really just comes down to the routes that they were taking with their dive composition. You can't really go onto the main, like through the main doorway with dive if you're going into anti-dive. That's a composition built to stop dive in their place, and if a dive team is walking through the choke point as if they were death ball, that's just not going to work out. So it looks like there's some strategy things and larger picture concepts that the San Francisco Shook need to work on. So Akane is restarting his PC. There will be no subs. We are going to stay with these rosters, and Shook, hopefully getting closer, is going to have some good ideas on how to get these games closer, maybe even take a map off of the DC Dons. Getting to a Game 5 is not impossible at this moment, so I'm hoping the San Francisco Shook can try and get that. While this restart happens, we are going to take a quick break until the King of the Hill map, Lijiang Tower.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
And here we are, in the beautiful land of Lijiang Tower, with whatever on earth this weird Pachimari dog is. This is definitely a Pharah Mercy favored map, as well as a death ball kind of map that you can run dive as well. And it does look like the Shook have a little bit better of a game plan this time, as they're going to be running a Pharah Mercy with death ball and Genji.
Together, we are strong.
This looks like a very fun composition, and with a Mercy attached to the Pharah, Akane should be able to get a lot of work done. On the opposing side, the Dons are going to be running, hopefully not this composition. Does look like they're having a little bit of fun.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They're going to be running a Reinhardt Roadhog, kind of like a mix of Death Ball and Anti-Dive, with a Flanker, DPS, Moira Lucio. They've got a lot of movement and a lot of healing. Nothing to directly counter Akane, though. They didn't seem to expect the Pharah, so Akane should have a good time landing these shots, but Alto Sax put himself in a scary situation, does go down. And now with no healing and no damage boost, Akane is going to be fighting an uphill battle in this room.
The objective is now active.
That unfortunately doesn't work out, and the point does go to the Dons.
Hello.
Kyle's looking for a nice angle in this little bit of a spawn camp. He's spotted Alto, and no one's there to peel, no one turns around. Maybe the communication isn't there, but no one even notices Kyle. Kawaii's still looking forward, and this is absolutely brutal. Shatter comes out, Kawaii goes down. This is just a little bit of a slaughter. Being able to take the fight to the spawn is just a little bit mean. Shook are going to recollect themselves, though. Oh, but a hook comes out onto Akane. That's going to stagger them a little bit more. Kyle's got Pulse Bomb, too. Alto Sax might be going for res, but it's incredibly dangerous in this situation. Now, I think in this case, the Shook should switch to dive. They should be able to just go out and get Kyle as he's jumping around and harassing the team. Deathball might not be the comp to get to break out of this spawn. They're going to start moving forward, but again, there's just no peel. No one is attending to Alto Sax. Here comes a Blade. Barriers do keep people alive, but it's 80% on the point already. And this is just unfortunate. Mag's gonna get a charge. Roadhog's gonna push people in, and a Shatter's gonna stop Kawaii from getting anywhere close. Oh, someone's on the point! Looks like Spooky Soup used his ult to get there. It won't last long. And we're gonna go to the next round.
Best round lost. Score 0-1.
On the control center, I imagine DC Dons will be running a triple tank, because that's what they've run before, or they may just keep their current composition. Looks like Shook is going to put Akane on the Junkrat. It's very good in this map, as Pharah doesn't have as many high places to go, and there's so many good areas for Junkrat to zone off.
1. Round 2. Capture an objective.
And here we go. Akane with the damage boost is going to be dishing out crazy damage rockets. Endorphins goes down. Matt gets a charge, but Kawaii is still up. And another kill onto Impulse Killa. This is the character that Akane is getting it done on. Catatonic goes down, but the rest of Shook is alive and well. Not much damage going on to the Roadhog, though. He's just kind of chilling on this point. The hook goes onto Kawaii Street, but no kill. And as long as they're able to at least push the Dons off this point, this will be theirs. The reinforcements are in, though, from the Dons. It was in favor of the Shook, but they weren't able to get enough kills as quickly as they needed to. And Xanatos with ult already is going to get these last kills, and we're back into the spawn.
Healing stream engaged.
Pulse Bomb comes out. Oh, and what a boom. Pushes Reinhardt onto it. And we are just in the spawn doors.
A temporary setback.
Shook is going to try and look for another angle. If they all go top left, they could just avoid this fight altogether. Well, it does look like that's what they're going to opt for. Kyle is low, has to recall. But Shook did turn around fast enough to help Kawaii. There's the Deadeye. Roxas has no barriers. And Catatonic's going to go down to the Deadeye. He's going to get res back up, but this is now, again, just a fight that Shook isn't going to be able to take.
Thank you.
There's a lot of ults on the side of the Shook. Maybe they can make something happen with them. Kyle has another pulse bomb though, so they have to watch out for that, especially with it on Kawaii. He does live though. Melk is out. A great shatter, but almost no follow-up. Here comes a Dragon Blade, but the Fears are out in time. Unfortunate, because that was such a good shatter. If they had used perhaps Riptire or Diva Bomb, that could have been a very good combo. And Shook is going to try and just break through. Shatter does come out though. Barrier's keeping everyone alive for now, but it's just not happening. The Zax can't keep people healed up as 60 healing per second just isn't enough.
Team kill.
And that's game 3.
Victory. Play of the game.
Make Me Famous is going to get play of the game. And there's the environmental kill. If Lucio's involved, that's most likely what happened. So, this is the segment where I usually talk about what went wrong for the losing team, what they could do better. But I'm going to take this in a different direction. The Overwatch Community Cup is a tournament meant for lower rank players, bronze through plat, and then maybe a diamond or two. But it's meant for lower ranked players especially to play under the name of their favorite teams, whether that be the San Francisco Shock as the Shook, or NYXL as NYXD, or maybe a completely new team like the Pink Sox or the Dons. But in any case, it is meant for lower ranked players to play with each other and get better through a wide range of SR. And I'm going to tell you why this game is so one-sided. We're going to look at the Shook. They have a gold player. They have a bronze player. They have a plat player. They have a gold player. They have a diamond, who's just barely diamond, and a silver player. That's the kind of composition we hope to see on every team in the Community Cup. That's not unfortunately, what we see a lot of the times. The Dons are not breaking any rules, but they are playing an entirely plat team with a handful of members still plat, but almost diamond. And that's why we see this stomp that we're watching right now. It's unfortunate, but at the moment, there's no rules against this type of play. We will be looking into this for Stage 2 to try and get some better games for everyone to not only watch, but also play, as this probably isn't very fun for either the Dons or the Shook. We are going to have a short break while each teams talk among themselves and get back to Map 4, Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Arriving at Watchpoint Gibraltar.
And we are off to Watchpoint Gibraltar. A little bit of a pause, though, as we figure out what's going on. Does look like the game was started without the actual go-ahead from the San Francisco Shook, so we're going to get figured out if everyone is ready. Luckily, it was paused only 5 seconds into the starting minute of the game, so it should not be a problem that requires a reset of the game. Alright, and here we go. And we're off to Watchpoint Gibraltar. A very dive-favored map. I've said that a few times, but none of them are as true as this map. There's such important high ground to defend from and to attack. There's lots of Widows and soldiers that like to play from here that will be uncontested, unless there's an enemy Widow or dive tanks and DPS. This ship is very important for positioning. And you know all about the snipers who love to play out here. So hopefully we get to see some of that sniping action and jumping high grounds. The Shook is going to be on the defense. Shadow Roxas is on the high ground.
In 30 seconds.
He's got that hit scan. Akane with the Junkrat. Death Ball with some very good two primary healers. Interesting because there will be no Discord or any speed boost. Hopefully the Shook will be able to use these two primary healers just to stay alive longer than the enemy team.
5,
Hello.
4, 3, 2,
Shadow Roxas has secured himself a good position.
attackers incoming.
And here comes the offense.
Stop the payload.
Another similar Death Ball anti-dive comp. And here comes Mag with a charge. Does get taken by the barrier. Shadow Roxas gets first blood. His healers are keeping him up and healthy. And the payload has yet to actually move. Shadow Roxas has jumped down to the high ground. Not sure why, as I suppose they just want to rotate down and defend the payload early. It's typically better to defend back here so that no one from the high ground can just lob down damage. But in any case, they're now in a preferred position. Endorphins is getting some damage from the high ground, but isn't causing too much trouble. Kawaii Street does go down, though. Hopefully with a barrier, they can get a resurrect. But it may be on cooldown. Mag with another charge. A barrier, again, saves, and Catatonic takes Mag down. A double dash. Like if Mario Kart will take down 1/3 of the Shook.
Has reached the checkpoint.
Only one to get a bad spawn is Kawaii Street. And he does make it out alive, but Sombra is above him and at 98%, and with no barrier, he's going to have to take some cover. Altosax is here, and with Valk, could make this a good fight for the Shook, especially with both DPS ultimates coming online. If Akane can get a good tire, this could be very good for the Shook. Ooh, and a good block for that Shatter. If EMP had been out a little bit earlier, that would have been clean. A lot of ultimates used on the side of the Dons, and no ultimates used from the Shook, which means that they will be able to stack their ults and hopefully get a good defense. They did get a few bad spawns though, which is unfortunate. As Shadow Roxas is trapped here now, as his tank is taken down. He will have to just accept his fate and hope he can rejoin his friends around the bend. 5 minutes left. If San Francisco Shook get one good fight, I'd call that worth. Graviton is unlocked with a tire. This could be devastating as long as it doesn't get reflected. It does get taken down, but the res is here. Oof! And unfortunately, a charge is going to knock her away. Shadow Roxas gets a visor, nice positioning, but Transcendence is going to keep everyone from taking any damage, and everyone died so close to the payload being there that it is the end.
Score 0-3. Switching sides.
Hang in there. That's what the Shook needs to do. It's also interesting to know that Genji has a canonical calendar. Hang in there. As we wrap up map 4 of week 1 of the Overwatch Community Cup, stage 1. Shook is going to be running quad tank. I like it. They're not going to really bother with dive or death ball or anything. They're just going to get on the payload and last as long as they can. I really like this strategy, as if they just sit on the payload and stop anyone from stopping it, they should be able to get pretty decent distance. Kyle DD is on the Widow, but if everyone stands behind Kawhi's shield, and Akane gives her some trouble from time to time. It shouldn't be too much of an issue. Pulled port combo is up, but there is no dive to counter. Endorphins is on the Genji, and that doesn't do much to tanks either. This may be a very sound strategy from the Shook.
Five, four, three, two, one. Attackers incoming.
And here comes the rollout. Widow's taking a very aggressive position, but instead of pushing the payload, they're actually going to take the fight right to the Dawns. Catatonic goes to down, that's a lot of healing missing, but any pick Shook can get now is massive, especially on Make Me Famous, that's huge. Spawn advantage is in such favor of the Shook, and Alto Sax is just going off. That's a triple kill just by the Lucio. A couple more picks, and the Shook have gotten themselves already a lot of space for this payload to move forward. Chase has commenced. Alto Sax isn't going to leave any survivors. Kyle's got the gun, but he's just going to get knocked off as the payload's going to continue moving forward. Unfortunately, Akane is out of mech, and Blade is out, but Blade on what? Big beefy tanks? It does look like Kawaii is going to go down thanks to Kyle as well. And this payload is going to be stopped under this bridge. Shook are going to get themselves situated in the spawn room. Spooky Soup's actually going to wait to get healed by Catatonic to give ult. And here they come again, this big wall. This slambulance, as it is so called. Ooh, and with ultimate charging up on Akane and berries to keep everyone alive, and Mercy on low health, this could be a good fight. Kawaii Street ended up charging off, not sure how that happened. But in any case, Akane is very close to a self-destruct. But no picks are being acquired yet. Maybe Akane can't just push the payload though. Opts not to do that. He's going to join his team. He's not going to split his team up any further. Kawaii Street, unfortunately, was in a position where he couldn't even turn around and block, as Genji would just dash through the shield and do more damage that way. Akane does make it with mech, which is very important since Diva Bomb is on lock. A lot of ultimates. There could be some great ult combinations from the Shook. Akane should be going up to get this Widow. Ooh, but a barrier down, a Jets and a Diva Bomb could do a lot of work. Opts not to use it though. Not sure what Akane is saving it for. Smart though, to not use it to get a new mech. That's a very good awareness, as Akane knew that being the last one alive and using Diva Bomb isn't worth it at all. Not sure why Shadow Roxas is on the Reaper though, perhaps to deal with the tanks, but Reaper doesn't do much against Widow. Everyone is lined up here, and they're going to take a flank. They found Roadhog. If they can get Xanatos, this would be big. Earth Chatter on the Orisa. Mag is knocked down, but not out. Trades are still good, as the spawn is just about a block away from the Shook. Akane needs to find a time to use this Diva Bomb, though. Ooh, but Mag is down. Shadow Roxas is finding the kills. This may be the time. Make Me Famous popped ult, did bring Zen back, but that's still Mag down. And rounding this corner, this could be a time when Akane finally uses Diva Bomb to secure this point cap. 3 seconds left though, they cannot afford to leave the payload. It doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to contest. They do make it. Akane's distracted all 3 members of the Dawns that were up there. With one more grenade, we'll finish off Kyle. Looks like Spooky Soup is going to get it done. A late Blade. The point's already capped. You don't need to use that now. The spawn's right there. He does get a couple kills, but it's not going to be very much value. Make Me Famous goes down. Spooky Spooky Soup having a lot of luck tracking, keeping energy up, and Endorphins is going to be next. He does escape, but only barely. Kawaii Street is low, though. This get taken out as Catatonic was dead, and Aldersex can only do that much healing. Oh, and he's so low. He gets the way again. Spooky Soup is getting close to another grab, though. And it could be very useful with Coalescence.
Death Blossom is ready.
It appears we have suffered a minor setback.
Death Ball, or Death Blossom is another very good combination as well. And look at this positioning. If Spooky can get it behind the shield, it could be pretty big, although there's not many people here. It is actually going to get a punch, but Transcendence is going to keep people alive. Aldersex does go down as he's too close to the Roadhog ult. 2 picks in the favor, 3 in favor of the Shook. And Shadow Roxas kind of uncontested against these tanks. Ooh, and a great Shatter is going to stop Endorphins from getting any more value out of that blade.
Remaining.
They're going to continue moving forward. And if Shadow Roxas doesn't get any picks, that would make it so much easier for the Shook to close this second point out. Doomfist is on the cart, but gets away before he can be focused down. No ultimates on the side of the Shook. They need to hide a little bit so that they don't have to worry about the supercharger. All of them do survive. Valk is out to give 30% extra damage as opposed to the supercharger's 50. But still, the Shook have been doing a very good job of staying alive. These punches from Kyle haven't been working out. Here comes trades and barriers to keep everyone healthy. Catatonic also has ult. Ooh, but Kyle does get resurrected. Make Me Famous goes down. Not sure that is a worthwhile trade, but the payload does only have overtime left. Dragons do come out, and it'll be up to Akane to try and stagger for a little longer, but unfortunately that will be the payload's resting place.
Defeat.
All things considered, a decent show from the Shook.
Play of the game.
Skilla is going to run away with play of the game due to this very good Transcendence. Lots of damage pouring in. Not sure what the number was on that healing, but it sure was a lot. 4,200 is the answer. This is total Transcendence healing, including his other trances, but I'm sure a lot of it was that one ult. And that does bring this set to a finish. The last map of the week 1 are done. There will be another match tonight between the Swole Dynasty and the DC Dons, and then I will be showing you the results of the week stage rather, as it did end up going over 2 weeks. But the DC Dons is going to play 2 matches today, including the one at 8, to make up for not being available last week. Until then, I will see you later in only about 3 hours. So I hope you'll stop by for the next game.